Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Onetalk podcast. You're here with your host, Ryan. And today we've got an epic guest on named Holly Smith. Holly is a happiness habit coach. She's the author of the 30 Days to Happiness podcast and also the author of the 30 Days to Happiness book. She's the founder of bizfit, and the work that she is doing is incredible. Her book is incredible. And I don't just say that just to say it because she's on the podcast, but her book was truly amazing. And I feel like it's something that everyone needs to have a read to. And that's why I was keen to have a deep dive into Holly, her journey, and her life. So, welcome to the podcast, Holly.
Thanks, Ryan. Really appreciate it. Really excited.
No worries at all. How are you going?
Good. I'm feeling good. I'm pumped. Keen to chat with you again. And no, I love the work that you're doing and, the light that you're bringing to mental health. It's really cool.
Thank you for that. I'd love to start this podcast off just going back to the start of your journey and where it all began, just to get a good understanding for the listeners and even myself as well.
Yeah, cool. Awesome. Well, it's like, where do you start? I can start from, I guess, where I grew up. So I'm from Brisbane. So always been from Brisbane. Half my family is actually German. My other half's actually English. But I'm full Australian. So yeah, no, I grew up in Brisbane and always I was a horse rider, so I was an equestrian. So I literally my whole life growing up, I was like riding horses day and night. I was competing, and by the age of like 8, 10, 12, I was pretty much like breaking in horses, selling them. Like, oh, that was my life. I loved it. My goal pretty much was to get to the Olympics for show jumping. Like that was my goal. That was my passion. That was the reason I woke up every single day. And yeah, anyway, so going through, I guess, my primary school years, I always hated school. Like I've always hated school. And, I look back and I go, oh, I could have, changed my mindset around it, but you're 8 years old, you don't know. But I actually, I generally hated school. I hated, sitting around, you know, lunchtime with fake people who would just gossip. I hated the fact that, I would pretty much have lunch breaks and then go into a work period where you pretty much do nothing and there's no intention behind it. And I think as well, like from quite a young age, I was very intuitive. Like, I don't know why, but I was very intuitive with who you surround yourself with is who you become, really intuitive with people's vibrations and energy levels. Like I'm very touchy. Like I know if someone is like my person straight away. I know just from their presence. Anyway, so like I think growing up as well, like I always found like my close friends and always had like 2 or 3. And now I have an amazing group of friends. But yeah, always hated school growing up, didn't like the curriculum. And then pretty much high school, we moved. So my parents were never together. So never together. Like I pretty much grew up with separate families. I was pretty much Hannah Montana. I grew up in the country and then my dad had the beach life. So I was like, best of both worlds, which I had a great childhood, I can't lie. But there was a lot of emotional baggage, I guess, from that. So like things I didn't even realize until I was older actually triggered, emotions that I didn't even know affected me because I didn't even see my parents break up. You know what I mean? But yeah, I went through like a lot of things like growing up. Like I was literally classed as depressed in grade 1. And I don't know why. Like I remember my mum telling me this story. I was in school and I was just sad every single day. Like I do remember grade 1 really well because I was literally just sad every single day, like as a 6-year-old.
Class is depressed in grade 1.
Yep. Yeah.
Well.
So I literally was like sad. Like I cried almost every day going to school. I literally don't even know why. I was like a tiny child. And I remember being in the counselor's room and they were holding up, 2 cards. And one of them was like sad face, one of them was a happy face. And I always picked the sad face. Right. And then I think that was my realization that my parents weren't together and seeing everyone else's parents together. Like I really actually don't even know to this day. So maybe that's something I need to go back on. But anyway, long story short, in my teenage years, we moved off acreage into a normal housing block. Both my horses died, had to get put down, and my whole purpose was gone. Off acreage, never been, and now I sound spoiled, never been in a normal house block in my life, with the neighbors flushing their toilet right next to me. Both my purpose, the reason I woke up and was gonna make something of my life was gone completely. Like they were like my best friends. I literally like trained them. I put my soul and my hard work into them, and then they're just gone, and then my whole purpose, I was like, now what do I do with my life? I was always into fitness growing up, like always loved the gym, always into fitness, but pretty much like after that, I was like, well, what's life?
Mm.
And yeah, I just found the trap of I ate really bad, put on 10 kilos, like just pretty much got really depressed because I had no purpose and I hated school. Like pretty much everything in my life, I just hated,
If
right?
you
And my
don't,
mindset was shit. So
yeah, like sorry, yeah, I just want to ask a question, like, because you said growing in grade one, you were classed as depressed and you're pointing out the sad pictures. Was there ever a time a rise came where you felt happiness, or was it just that more of a steady level of feeling sad? And then once that grief happened with the horses, sorry to hear, it felt like it just even declined even further.
yeah, that's a good
Yeah.
question. I think the only time I really felt happy was when I was riding my horses because I had
Mm.
intention and purpose.
Do you feel like that
And
was like a connection to yourself as well?
yeah, yeah, that's it. Like that was my outlet. Like, people
Mm.
go to the gym, people write, people kick the soccer ball in the backyard, and that's their outlet. My outlet, yeah, my outlet is literally was to, you know, ride horses, right? And
Mm.
train them and put my energy elsewhere. So when I didn't have that outlet anymore, I guess I went to like, drugs and partying every weekend and emotional eating. That was a
Mm.
big one for me. Surrounding, I let myself be sucked into the trap of, wanting to, be the best and, just hang around the wrong people, if that makes
Yeah.
sense. So, after going through that, like I think, yeah, throughout my life, it's really interesting going back and talking about my life because, like, it's very rarely you start from scratch and talk about your whole journey
Yeah.
unless someone asks you, right? So I think you find out things the more you talk about it. And I remember I think I always held a lot of emotion in as a kid. Like I
Mm.
never ever knew how to express my emotion very well. And I was the kind of person who would hold in grudges, hold in like emotion, and then all of a sudden just burst out in anger. Like I was quite an angry teenager.
Mm.
And I like I just hated everything. I hated my life. I hated everything. Like I remember being like probably 14. And I was like, Mom, I want to kill myself. Like I want to die. Like just like, like I just hated everything really. It's so sad.
Yeah.
And yeah, I was 16 and I was like pretty much like had a lot of like other issues going on with my dad and just, just finding out who I was. I was so lost. And
Mm.
like I've kind of grew up Christian, you could say. So I kind of lost my identity in the worldly things. So yeah, and then I remember just once I was just like every single day, I just wanted to die pretty much my whole teenage years. I was like, I want to die every single day. And I just would hope I'd be in a car crash so I could die.
Yeah.
Yeah, every single day. And yeah, I don't know. And then one day I was just so depressed and sad. Like I guess I never went to seek help. That was my issue. I never went out to say, hey, I'm hurting. I need help because my ego was just too big.
Yeah. And how old are
I
you?
don't
16
Oh yeah, back then I
at
was
the time?
16. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, 16. So yeah, my ego is too big. I don't want people knowing things about
Mm.
me. And sometimes, it's just the last 2 years I've actually started opening up about, stuff I'm going through because you guys are going through it as well. I've
Yeah.
always been very like conservative with everything. So I thought, like no one needs to know what I'm going through, that kind of thing. Like, and I think it was also as well not feeling loved as well growing up. Like that was a really big thing. So you think, all right, well, no one else loves me and no one's going to care if I die. And all the stupid stuff you think in your head.
Yeah.
That we all, we have those thoughts. Anyway, so long story short, I was like the last thing I was like, nah, that's it. I'm gone tomorrow. I literally was like, reach out to God. I was like, God save. I was like, you know what? If this pain doesn't go away and this hate for my life and, all the crazy things. I get goosebumps talking about it. I was like, nah, I'm done tomorrow. Like I'm literally done. Like that's it.
Mm.
I'm gone. And then pretty much woke up the next day with no suicidal thoughts, no hate for life. Like it was a miracle. So from then onwards, yeah.
Yeah. I was gonna say, like, going straight to the next day and feeling like that, was a confusion, or was it more so you had the answer?
I think it was an answer. It was an
Yeah.
answer that I had something bigger for my life than hating
Mm.
it. It's almost like God just like switched my mindset to see the things in life that I didn't see before because I was so self-centered.
Did you have a dream that night, or you just woke up and you just felt like you had a calling or a connection to God?
That's a really good question. I can't actually remember because it was so long ago now, but I
Mm.
do know for a fact I woke up and it's like, for example, when you like just have a really good cry and then you wake up in the
Yeah.
morning, you're like, I feel fine now. I haven't had one of them in a while. But when you do, it was a little bit like that, but it was like it was like my eyes and my brain opened. That's the
Mm,
best way to explain it. It's like clarity. That's what it is. Like
clarity.
that's it. Like it's just when you're like, oh my gosh. It's like when you're
Mm.
trying to solve a puzzle or you're trying to solve an issue and you're like, that makes sense. It was almost just like I just could see properly.
Hearing that is literally giving me goosebumps because I've
Yeah.
like even myself, my own experience, people I've talked to and work with, like that feeling of depression and suicide ideation is so real. And it's such
Mm,
an enrooted feeling that we feel. And to be able to overcome that is such a beautiful thing. And to hear your
yeah, definitely.
story as well, because it's so unique. And I feel like that's the beauty of it because, you're so, in a sense, would say you're just that desperate to find a way and to keep going to find an answer. And the more you ask that question, was then a pushback of answers and solutions. And then that's when that connection of God became deeper.
That's exactly right.
Mm,
And all you have to do is ask. Like that's a
yeah.
big thing. I never asked anyone else for help. I never
Mm,
even asked my best friend. I was like embarrassed, right?
yeah.
But I went to the only thing that I knew, and that was God, the universe, whatever anyone's listening to us believes in. And I still do it to this day, is like ask the universe what you want.
Mm,
And it will give it to you. So for example, if I lost my car keys, I'll be like, all right, where are my car keys? Show me where my car keys are. And
mm.
give me 2 minutes, I found them every time.
Yeah. That's
Yep.
epic. Yeah. You got your own
Yeah.
process for finding out this problem or finding out the answer.
Yeah. I do it with car parks too. Like everyone's like, Holly, why do you always get a car park? I'm like, trust the God.
Yeah, trust. I do that too. Like I'll be in like a meeting with like 20 people and someone will ask me a question and I'll just stop there, close my eyes and take deep breaths, like meditate for like 30 seconds. And
Mm,
everyone just looks at me like, what's he doing? And I'm like, I'm getting
he's
the
asking
answer.
for a car park.
Yeah, I'm asking for a car park. But it's so cool, like your perspective on how you find those answers as well. That's really cool.
Yeah. And that's interesting. Like I was thinking, I haven't done that in a little while. And it's actually an exercise that I like to do is that I'll sit down, I'll meditate, I'll just be in a meditated state. And I'll just ask God,
Yeah.
the universe, I'll just like ask, I'll be like, how do I make this amount of money by
Mm,
doing this? And revelation and clarity and all these kind of things will come. And that's when it's really important you sit down with a notepad and pen and
yeah.
just I know someone who does that actually when he takes a THC gummy and then
Mm,
he does it and he
yeah.
gets all this new ideas and yeah, it's really interesting.
Yeah, that is very interesting. So now a lot of people become very creative as well. Once
Mm,
you take things like THC, even
yeah,
alcohol or any type of substance, it just helps trigger that theta brainwave state
yeah,
and get you in that
literally.
creative mode.
Yeah.
So just want to bring it back to that moment of the day you woke up and you didn't feel depressed anymore, any suicide ideation. Like what was the first steps you started to take from there?
Mm. I was just like, I went to the gym, like a bit similar
Mm,
to you. Like I always loved fitness, but I fell off the wagon because I just felt like I wasn't even good enough to go to the gym. And I I was still on my L plates and I lived in the middle of nowhere and my mum wouldn't drive me anywhere. So I was stuck as well. Like when the day I got my P plates, I cried. Like literally, I cried in front of the man. He's like, oh, are you
yeah.
okay? But it was just a weight lifted on my shoulders. It means I was free. I could
Mm,
actually go to the gym and get a membership. I could actually, could do my gym workouts at home, but I think I still did it eventually. I can't remember. Anyway, so I went to the gym. I just wanted a different, different area where, put your earphones in, you do what you want to do, and then you can
mm,
leave. So the gym became then my new release, then
yeah.
from horse riding. That makes sense. And yeah, no, did that and still, still love the gym and whatnot. And what else? Oh, that's
Didn't
right.
I was gonna say, did you start competing as well? I saw.
Yeah, so I
Yeah.
competed. Yeah, so I was supposed to compete last year, then it
Mm,
got cancelled twice. And I
yeah.
went through a whole year prep. It was really hard on my body. And then I was going to do April this year. And then I just was not in a good headspace. And then, yeah, finally competed. And no, it was a really great experience. But
Yeah.
I personally wouldn't do it again because it doesn't align with my purpose right now and my
Mm.
values. So yeah, but everyone's different.
That's a great awareness because our goals and aspirations always evolve through life, like
That's it.
the things you're doing now could be different in 3 years, but it's all just about becoming present in what we're doing in the moment and just
Mm.
making sure we're fulfilling that.
Yeah, that's exactly
Yeah.
right. And it's and you know how they say like, oh, some people are supposed to be in your life for a season, some people are supposed to be in your
Mm.
life for like a long time, and it's all for a specific purpose. I think it's the same with goals. Like you just hit the
Yeah.
nail on the head. Like I think this time when I was, went to compete in bodybuilding, I don't know, just my passion and my excitement was not there because I believe that purpose and that goal was supposed to be for the year before, if that makes sense. I don't know.
Yeah.
That's just my headspace maybe, but yeah, I don't know. It's interesting.
Yeah, it's very interesting. No, I agree with you too. And also like reflecting back on the past, the times of the struggle, just one last thing I want to touch on with
Mm,
that is that the amount of strength and resilience that would have given you now going forward, because even the traumatic events can be the most powerful things in terms of drive in our life
yes.
and using that as an energy force. Because I say to people when something disappointment happens to them, I always say, energy can't be destroyed, it can only be converted. It's up to you
Mm.
to where you convert that energy.
Oh, I like
And
that.
whatever you choose will be positive or negative, but you gotta make a decision. And
Mm,
if you constantly reflect on your past and the trials and tribulations of life and you use that as a drive, you can literally accomplish anything you want in life. And that doesn't even mean financially. It could even be like mindset, mental health, or relationships, or whatever it may be. And I've seen that within you. Oh, sorry. I've seen that within you. Like just by following you and having
mm.
another podcast with you, just seeing what you've achieved so far in your young life. Like you've become an author, you got a podcast, you got bizfit, you've done competitions, you're engaged. Like you got so many cool opportunities that have happened in your life from
Yeah,
the bad things that have happened, but then you've used that as drive and as a force to push you to what you're doing now.
that's exactly right. Hit the nail on the head.
Mm,
And you know what? Still to this day, like, and I think it's because when you learn to love yourself, like you speak highly of yourself and not in
mm.
a cocky way, but in a true love self way, because you know what you've been through, right?
Yeah.
And you know what you can do. And I'm definitely one of the most resilient people I know. Like I'm
Mm,
extremely resilient. And in different areas of my life as well. Like even my mum, like she's like, Holly, you will do the best at everything. Like
mm.
even growing up, she's like, Holly, you'll do the best at everything you possibly could do, and you put your, your soul and your heart into it. And then once that season's up, you move on, kind of thing,
Mm.
right?
Yeah.
But that's why habits, I'm so obsessed with habits, because habits help you build the resilience to stay disciplined. Because you need discipline to create a habit in the first place, right? To stay
Yeah.
consistent. That's a ritual. So that's why I'm just so obsessed with habits, because it's literally like the habits in my book are what reconstructed my subconscious mind to then wake up happy every single day. So that was like, I guess from when I was 16, wake up with a miracle, started going to the gym. I was then, got this revelation pretty much to write the book.
Mm. Would you say like starting to go to the gym was the first time you had like the trigger of thought that you need to have habits in life?
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, I think so. I think I would as well, like growing up, I was always obsessed with habits. Like I was
Mm.
that person who would be like 14, 12 years old and looking up morning routines from billionaires, or like how to have a successful morning routine, a successful productive day. Like who does that at 12 years old? Most people are watching makeup videos or stupid vines or whatever it
Yeah.
was back then.
Vines.
So
Yeah.
yeah, like vine variations. Um yeah, and I've always been obsessed with habit, routine, lifestyle. But I feel like once I was able to find my true self, my authentic self, and that was probably when I left school
Mm.
and actually started living my purpose and my passion and going into fitness industry. Um, that's when I really just felt like, all right, well, habits is literally what changed my life. How can
Mm.
I now help others do that?
Yeah, 100%. It's like being aware of your habits because the more conscious we are of our actions, then we can start determining the outcomes we get in life.
No,
But then,
100%.
like you said, it's just building discipline on top of that. So, what would you say helps you with discipline in life?
Yeah. You've really got to like, there's got to be a deep, meaningful reason why you want to achieve something, or why do you want to stay disciplined in the first place? Like, that's really what you got
Mm.
to ask yourself. Like, no one, I literally use this analogy to all my clients. They're like, oh, I'm not motivated, blah, blah. Like, who wants to wake up at 5 o'clock to go to the gym for absolutely no reason? Like, no one wakes up at 5 o'clock and goes, oh, I'm going to go to the gym today for no reason. There's
Yeah.
usually a reason. I want to feel good. I have more energy. I want to lose weight. I want to finish my wedding dress. Like, there's a deep, meaningful reason why you'll get up early before you have to
Mm.
go to a massive work day to get to the gym. So that's a perfect example. So how do you stay disciplined with that? All right, you got to understand why. and have a deep enough reason why that it gets you out of bed in the morning. So for example, if I'm laying in bed and I know I've got to meet a client at 7 o'clock and he's dealing with some really tough things, maybe like mental health, this and that, that's my reason to wake up in the morning. I've got to be there for my client. My mental headspace is going to be there for my clients, right? So at 5 o'clock, I'll wake up with energy now because I've trained myself to do that. That's another thing. You can train yourself to do anything. If you train yourself to do anything, then you'll be easy to stay disciplined. But yeah, it's knowing the reason why, like, you want to do absolutely everything. But you've got to go deeper than just go, just because it is, or something like that. So yeah, I don't know. That's probably what I'd say with discipline.
I think that was a perfect answer, to be honest. I'm so glad you touched on it in depth like that, because understanding why is so crucial in so many aspects of our life, but especially with discipline. Because like you said, the more we understand of the reasonings why we're doing what we're doing, then we have a better understanding of when to implement discipline in each area of our lives. Because I know with me in my past, I've been disciplined in things that I didn't even believe in. For some reason, I was just being disciplined. Right. And it's just like even with gym, like I've always gone to gym for like the last 8 years. And first of all, it's just like just being disciplined for the sake of it. But then once I asked that question to myself, like, why do I go to the gym? It's because it keeps me in a good mental mind state. Like, because I feel if I don't go to gym for at least, like, if I have like a 3-day break, I start feeling like a bit of a decline mental health wise. I'm like, well, that's my why. And that's why I keep showing up. And now it's like, even in times where I don't feel like going, like there's still not that thought in my mind where it's like, you're not going. Like, I'm always going to go.
Yeah, that's exactly right. It's not an option. It's just part of who you are. I think that's when a habit becomes who you are and not just a habit. That's when you know you've cracked the code and you kind of know if it fits in line with your values and where you want to go. But yeah, like I even like going to bed, like for example, one of my clients will struggle to get in bed on time. Or alcohol's a perfect example, like not drinking on the weekend. So what is your deep enough reason why you're going to sit there with your soda and lime and no alcohol in it and, have fun with your friends, or try to, and then go home, have a good sleep and wake up and get a heap of work done, or, have an epic day because you're not hungover. Like, people take a little while to really understand it, but it's not until they do it or experience the lows, like you do with the decline when you go to the gym, or experience the highs of simply going, wow, I felt amazing, I'm never doing that again, kind of thing. That you actually start to form a different kind of discipline, because it's more of an emotional attachment, I think, you have to that action.
It's such a cool topic because like we can break it down in so many ways. But like I feel like a lot of people fall short of their goals because they haven't understood the reason why they got the habit of doing what they're doing every day. They're trying to achieve that goal. Let's just use fitness for an example. People may not lose the weight they want to lose because they haven't understood why they're doing it, which then might not bring in the belief of that they can actually achieve that.
That's it.
That's really cool.
Exactly right. And that's a whole nother thing, is really the belief system of not of your why. Like, can you actually believe that you can wake up in the morning to go to the gym so you can lose weight to fit in your wedding dress? And that's all understanding the why. And in my book, I've got the 7 reasons why exercise. A lot of people do the 5 reasons. I love the 7 because they're extra 2 deeper levels. Just add that, bit of pepper on top kind of thing, and allows you to go that little bit awkward deeper. When I do the 7 why exercise with people, I get to like number 6 and they're like, oh, I don't know, I have no clue, how am I supposed to answer that? And I'm like, stop thinking, just say.
And I think like even
it's cool exercise.
Going back on that, I think that the belief system can also relate to another part of your book that you talked about. I'm paraphrasing here, but it's around being cautious of the words you use and the way you talk, because the way we talk and the language we use does embody beliefs within us. And I feel like this is just like become like a pyramid effect down to the bottom. Now we're at the core of it, of like the language that you use on a daily basis then becomes beliefs that we believe in. And those beliefs will then create the habits and discipline into our life. And that's such a cool breakdown when you truly think about it, because we're able to get to the root of it. And I really enjoyed that when I read your book, when you talked about language and being cautious of the words that you use, because like it's super an important thing, like just catching yourself out instead of saying like, I will do this, say I am doing this.
Yeah, I love that. And you know what? it makes me so happy that you love reading that, because that is the first thing that if anyone is going through like I guess struggling with negative thoughts, or they're not actually living the life that they want to live, change your atmosphere, change your posture, change your words, and it will change your mindset automatically, right? And catch your words is the biggest thing. Is like, I do one thing that I started when I was, I don't even know how old I was. Maybe it was even during school. I don't even know where I came up with these habits, to be honest. It's just like revelation, maybe. But it was like I was still quite in my teenage years, and I just said to myself, I was like, I'm not. I think because I didn't want to go backwards. I didn't want to go back to that 16-year-old, like person who overate and was depressed and sad. So I think all these habits maybe subconsciously came from that, or consciously. So yeah, I guess from what were we talking about? And I've lost my train of thought.
The language, the language
Oh,
that we
that's
use.
right. Yeah. Oh, I'm terrible with that. Yeah. So the language you use. So I think I was, again in my teenage years, and I was like, I am not letting anything come outside my mouth, and I'm going to train myself to not speak anything negative about anyone, not myself, not any swearing, nothing, no negative vibration I will let outside my mouth. It's very hard because you got to think before it comes out of your mouth.
Yeah.
Right. So yeah, this is the way I like to think of it. So the thoughts, where your thoughts control and where they come from. All right, it's from the external sources. It's from like belief systems in the brain. And then it goes to your mouth. All right, well, you speak out loud, and then it goes to your actions. So it's almost like, it's like, again, like a pyramid. So what do I need to do to change my thought process to make sure my words come out clean, positive, happy, have a good vibration? So that was probably the number one habit that fully changed my life. I think smiling was a big one. Smiling more, posture, affirmations. But then affirmations is part of, speaking positive words, but catching your words, catch yourself gossiping, catch yourself talking shit about yourself. Like, let's be honest, catch yourself, like just saying stuff that doesn't need to be said, like, I didn't really need to say that. Like, it didn't really, like, I probably could have said something else. Like, it's just being aware of the words that you speak, because most of the time we're not aware of the words that come out of our mouth. So we need to learn it in a habit to catch them. And oh my gosh, change your life.
Boom, mic drop. That was perfect.
Yeah.
And like, I'm glad you touched on like the things outside of like mindset, even though it kind of is in a sense, but posture and smiling. Like just a change of posture and smiling. Because I read in the book how you say smiling is contagious. That's so true. Like the amount of times I've walked past people on the street and they just don't look like they've had a good day, I just smile, and you just see them, like it just changes a little bit within them. And that happens to me too. I'm not sure if I said this on your podcast when I was a guest, but I was driving for a drive-through, and I usually do like good deeds in drive-throughs. I usually pass out notes to the ladies who do my orders.
Oh, I
And
love that.
yeah, so I always drive through. I have a notebook of my car, and I always write a note, and then like they give me the coffee, I give them the note and drive off. But this one day I was in Zarafa's drive-through getting the coffee, and the one day I didn't have my notebook. I was like, oh no, I can't do it. And I was like, it's okay, I'll do it next time. Anyway, the lady in front of me ends up paying for my whole order. She sticks her head out the window and she's like smiling, a biggest grin on her face with both her hands in the air, waving like that. And I was
So
just like,
beautiful.
I nearly teared up. I was like, oh my God, this is
I
why.
literally would have cried.
Yeah, that's why I was like, that's how much of a positive influence you can have on someone else just by the actions you take, or even simple things like smiling or doing the good
Yeah,
deed.
that's it. Isn't it interesting though that it happened on the day you didn't have your notepad?
Yeah,
That's just like, it was like, you know what? God was like, it's your turn. It's your turn to be blessed.
I like that was like I'm because like it's very rare that humans just get like happy out of nowhere, like as a shock happy. And like that was that moment. I just couldn't stop smiling for like because this happened at like 6 in the morning, literally like 8 o'clock that night. I was still smiling from it. And I was like, wow, that was powerful.
I love that. And that's the power of like complimenting people. Like I was at Boost Juice the other day, and I was just like in my own thought. When you're just like, I can think quite deeply, and I'll be like, oh, where am I? So I have to always train myself to be present in the moment. That's why meditation's really good. But I feel like, I don't know, I was like, man, I haven't felt like I've been complimented in a while. Anyway, but she was literally just like, I love your nails, and they're just pink. Like they're just like a normal pink color, nothing crazy. But she's like, I love your nails. Like it's such a nice color. Like blah blah blah. And I was like, Thank you so much. I was like, you know what? And I walked away and I was like to my partner, I was like, here's your view shoes. And I was like, she liked my nails. I feel good. I was like, just smiled for the next 3 minutes. I was like, but that simple little thing changed my thought process, right? Changed my posture, changed my approach, like the way I looked. Like, and everyone listening to this just needs to know that those little compliments and just, how can you help one person every single day and make a difference in their lives? Because you never, ever know what that tiny little thing might do. Like, that's a really big trigger.
And
Especially like when you never know what they're really going through. Like you might have you might smile at that one person, or you might compliment them, and it might actually stop them from making a decision to end their life. You just don't know,
yeah, and like starting a conversation with a complete stranger, like you don't know where that can lead to. Like
That's it.
I think I'm not sure I spoke about this in the other podcast, but I'll tell the story quickly again for the listeners. I ran an event and we did like a good deed challenge. We had to pass out notes to strangers, and I was just walking around. Had to give out free notes, and then my last note, I saw this dude, and he just looked non-approachable. And I was a bit nervous approaching him. I was
Yeah.
like, you know what, I just gotta go up and say hello to him. And I remember I gave him the note, and he took his sunnies off and just like stared me in the eyes. I was like, oh crap. And he's like, what are you doing? I was like, oh, I just wanted to give you this note. I just felt called to give you this note. He opened it and he looked at me. He's like, no way. I was like, what? And he goes, I literally just drove down. I think he said from Gladstone or Bundaberg, somewhere 8 hours away. He drove down in a 10-seater bus full of people from a church up in Bundaberg. And what he said was that they were driving on the highway, picked a random place to pull off, which ended up being in Caloundra and Sunny Coast, set up there so then they can spread the message of the Lord. And then he said, me that day and me coming up to him was like the biggest. He said it was the biggest feeling that of God that he's had since he's been on this travel, because he said we came here to push this message and it feels like I've been connected with a spirit. And like he just started talking to me a lot about religion and God, and
Yeah, wow.
it was a powerful thing. But this all came from just me having a
Giving him a
conversation with a
note.
dude. Yeah, and that just shows the power of,
Wow.
if you just go up to someone and say hello, you never know where that conversation can go.
Oh, that's it. Like
Mm.
conversation. And I don't know about you. Like I love people. Like that's the reason
Yeah.
I'm alive, is to help people. But when you experience something like that and you know that like little like fun and awesome little amazing, or they're pretty big things like that, or miracles happen, or just coincidences or whatever you want to
Mm.
call them happen. I like it. Just, I don't know about you, but my love for people just grows even more and more and
Yes.
more. Like, and it's just like it just reminds yourself of your own purpose, and like
Mm.
we're all here to help each other. Like there is no enemy. Like we're all here to help each other.
Helps you
You
feel
know?
human again.
Oh yeah, 100%. 100%. You're like, my bad day wasn't really that bad. If you
Yeah.
meet someone who's had a really bad day. But yeah.
I'd love to get back to your book, because I know, especially with a thing like a book, that's a big deal. It's a big goal to achieve. Like, what was the steps in terms of the belief to start creating that book? Like, did you have to make sure you had all the knowledge first, or was it more of something just like, I've got the resources and skills now, I just need to find a way to get it done?
Yeah, it's really interesting because like I find it a little bit hard to answer, I guess, that question, because I really do believe that this book was all revelation. Like it
Mm.
literally was like I really believe that God spoke to me and was like, "Hey, you're gonna write a book, and it's gonna be called 30 Days to Happiness." And like I didn't name the book at all. Like it literally, like I don't know where the heck that name came from. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
He's like, "But you're not ready to write it yet." So I went through 3 years of just a lot of stuff that
Mm.
allowed me to finish the book. But the process, I guess the belief system was, I'm just going to trust the process, and whatever happens, it's happening for the right reason. Like, I think the book really helped me to trust the process
Mm.
and just going, all right, well, these are the chapters. All right, how can I, fill them with words and light and just things to help people with. But yeah, I think the best way to start a book, if anyone's interested in the process, is the title. Like, what's the actual mission behind it?
Mm.
Like behind everything that you're about to write. And I think you have. I mean, like everyone's got different purposes, but knowing your own purpose and why you want to write that book is really
Mm.
important, because then you're writing purposeless. And then every chapter, what does that really mean if you're not writing with a purpose and an intention? So really set intent and purpose. and then simply just write the name of the chapters, and everything else will just come. And in your creative time, when you get that spurt of, creativity or revelation, you'll just sit down and write, and it will be so beautiful.
That's great advice. Just knowing the why, the purpose behind it, and just taking action and trust the process. Because I know a lot of people get caught up in everything has to be perfect before you start. But I think it's just, as long as you're going with good intentions and you know why you have those intentions and just starting, it's going to end up in a place where it's meant to end up.
That's it. And trusting the process is such a big thing when it comes to taking fast action, especially if you're a perfectionist. Like I used to be a massive perfectionist. Like everything had to be, to the standard for it to be perfect and succeed and everything, or someone else's standard or my own standard or whatever. But then, I think just after building my first business, I was like, I can't be perfect. Like it's literally plateauing me. That's why if people don't know why their business isn't growing, it's probably because you're not taking fast enough action and you're not trying something new, or you've been sitting in a comfortable position for too long. So I think that is a high performance habit that, I built, was take fast action. Doesn't have to be perfect, but there will be a time where you will have to perfect that fast action if it succeeds, if that makes sense.
No, 100%, that makes sense. And it's just about like growing 1% every day, even like educating yourself 1% every day, like learn something new. Like it doesn't have to be like, like an hour listening to a book. It could literally just be a quick Google search on a random fact you didn't know anything about, like just something that makes no sense, but you still know something more than you did yesterday. It's all about having that growth. Because I had some dude that works in business, and he was like, I don't want to give out all my content on social media, like information, because I feel like everyone will know all the work that I do and all the information I have. But I'm like, if you learn more tomorrow, you've got more that people don't know from yesterday. And it's just keeping on building on top of that. So like everything I put out on my social media is like nearly everything that I know, whatever I can fit in a 30-second video. But like, it's like,
pretty much.
But tomorrow I'm going to learn more. So I'm going to know more tomorrow than I did today. And it's just keep building on that too.
Yeah, that's it. And like the scarcity mindset, like you have a giving attitude, right? And there's no scarcity behind it, because you're like, I'm here for a mission. I'm here to help people. I will give, right? But then there's some stuff that you just don't give because you put into a course and you create something absolutely fantastic that people can purchase, right?
Yeah.
And it's just a strategic way of doing it. Like you don't have to give away absolutely everything, but you're so right with growing. Like where I am right now, I'm not sure where you are right now, 10 years time, we will be doing something on the same line probably, because we will live in purpose, but probably something completely different in relation to growing 1% for 365 days times 10. That's a lot of hours to learn. So if you think of it that way, like we're gonna be so intelligent in 50 years time.
Literally.
If we learn every day, like trivia, I'll be winning every trivia at the pub. Like
you won't be able to put me and you on the same team.
No,
we clean them out.
Win every time. Free meat tray.
And in creating your book, did you have any like anyone that you had as like an inspiration in terms of authors, or just anyone in general?
Dean Graziosi, I love that guy so much. Like he's the guy who started all my personal development love. Like always, like I've read Millionaire Success Habits is the book that I read that he wrote. He's written quite a few, but Millionaire Success Habits is like that book like changed my mindset when I came out of that like depressed state. So I read that book every single year for like 4 years straight, and I did all the, you just read the book and then you're just like, oh yeah, that was cool, and don't do anything about it. But every time I read it, I'm like pen, paper, like actually do the exercises. So I think that book actually helped me write my book, if that makes sense. I wasn't important. I
was going to say, it's just important to study books, not just reading.
Oh, 100%. Yeah, that's it. And like, I'm a really big believer in like, sit down, highlight it, like take notes, but also be in the moment and enjoy it. Like if you're a slow reader, and like, that's a good thing, you actually are going to retain the information, and everyone's different. But if you're able to read, like this is what I say, if you're able to read 2 pages and retain all the information, actually learn something off it and implement it into your life and take notes over a whole chapter a night, and then you don't do anything about it, that's like the quality difference of
Yeah.
reading something slowly and short rather than something fast and long just for the sake of reading a new book.
Quality over quantity.
100%.
What's some book recommendations you have for
Good.
people out there?
Good question. I try and read a new book every month because I also do audiobooks, but I always love physically reading a book because it just, I don't know, it gives me a sense of peace, and I love visually be able to see. I think maybe because I'm a visual learner, I can like read something and I'll be like, all right, I vision it, I do this, and I'll like retain the information a lot faster. But I've got my book collection over here. What have I got? So Think and Go Rich, you can't go wrong.
Great book.
Yeah, Think and Go Rich is great. You just need, again, be very slow with reading it. It took me a long time to read properly because oh gosh, there's so much information in that book that you just have to continue reading over. Like, I think the guy, what's his name? Bob Proctor, he died this year. Anyway, yeah. So he literally will read like one page or a sentence of that every single day for the last like 40 years or something like that. So I thought that was really interesting. Millionaire Success Habits by Nick Graciosi. I'm currently reading The Buddha and the Badass by Vishen Lakhiani. I've only just started that, but it's pretty good so far, and it's good, I guess, maybe for your audience with, high performance habits and, kind of getting that step further. 30 Days to Happiness, my book.
Definitely.
What else have I read? I love a lot of spiritual books as well. Like I'm like, just learning more about understanding your emotions and where they're coming from. Like, I'm not really new agey. I'd say I'm a Christian, not new agey at all. But I did read this book, and it was called it was called The Heart of the Soul. And I was like, oh, here we go, talking about different things. But I read it, and after that book, I have had a massive overmind with like, different types of books, because I believe you can have your own values and beliefs, but you'll always learn something from a book you'll always like that you'll read. That changed my mindset, actually. Yeah, The Heart of the Soul. So that book actually helped me control my emotions. It was amazing. And it was just about feeling it, like, and I was going through, I think it was just got out of a really like kind of like a 3.5-year relationship.
Yeah.
And I like obviously had a lot of anxiety, and I was like, all right, well, it teaches you, I was going, where in the body do you feel your hurt or your pain, or like just being really aware of, okay, like I'll be driving and all of a sudden something will remind me of something and I'll get anxiety. I'm like, all right, where is this anxiety and this pain in my body? They're like, all right, it's in my left side of my chest. Now, okay, it's okay that I have anxiety and I know where it's coming from. I do some breathing, and I just say to myself, it's not going to last forever. It's going to be okay. And I just kept saying it to myself. That to me, like, seriously got me through everything. That was my little system, I guess. But knowing where your anxiety or anger or sadness or even happiness, like where is it in the body, and being really aware of it, I think that's very interesting.
I'd say to the listeners as well, next time you feel anxious, anger, overwhelmed, or stressed, try pinpoint where you do feel in that body and regulate it and breathe through it. And actually action item what Holly just spoke about, because that's an amazing thing you just touched on.
Yeah. So do you when you breathe, because you do a lot of breathing, is this, I don't know if this is actually a thing, but for example, if you have anxiety in the left side of your chest, if you use that analogy, and you place your hand on that pain and then you do your breathing exercise, is that a thing?
Yeah, it can be, because it can help you identify it, and it helps you get out of your mind and become present with your body. So it's just all about becoming still and present with yourself. And especially if you're so, like, for people who, or even myself in the past, I struggled with very severe anxiety, like just little things would trigger me. I was so in my head that I couldn't just focus on my breath. So being able to bring more of my sensory, what's the word I'm looking for? My sensory attention, that's it, to a certain part of my body, especially my breath, my breathing, and my feeling of my hands, which just helped me then to be like, cool, now we can release this.
Being able to release it, that's a whole nother level, right? Because we hold everything in. I think being aware of it actually allows your energy to flow a lot easier to be able to release it. Otherwise, you're just blocked. And that was something that I think they spoke about. This is a long time when I read this book ago, but from what I can remember, it's just like you end up, when you're not aware of your emotions and you don't know how to breathe through it, you're not aware of it, it's just blockages all over your body. And it's like energy blockages. Anyway, I thought that was super interesting.
No, it's true. And it's just being able to regulate it all and understanding it. And the more, this comes back to the 1% as well, like the more consistent you are with the work you put in yourself, like the more resilience and strength you're going to build,
Mm.
and the less triggered you'll be going forward with things that have triggered you in the past. Like me, I'm a bit of a obsessive now with breath work. So like
Yeah.
I always like every single time I catch myself not inhaling for 6 seconds in, 6 seconds out, I straight away put my point of focus back to my breath, like any given time during the day. So I'm trying to at the moment, not trying to, I am being cautious of my language there, but I am implementing 6 seconds in, 6 seconds out breath just
Mm.
because we're meant to be doing 6 inhale exhalations per minute. And the majority of the population rather over breathes or under breathes. And
Yeah.
it causes a lot of our mental health issues, even physical issues. Like there's so much negative effects that come from our breathing not being regulated as normal. But majority of the population are not aware of this. And that's a message that I'm trying to push because I was reading a study as well. I think it was 80 or 90% between that range of people that work in the office job can majority of the time during the day go up to 90 seconds without taking a breath.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well,
Just
100%, I reckon that's true.
yeah, that was a cool book. It's called Breathe by James Nestor, and he just goes into so much
Mm.
detail about breath. But yeah, if you want to listen to a lot about breathing and the impacts and tools you can use to improve your mental state and your physical well-being, definitely check out Breathe.
Oh, I'll definitely have to do that. You know what? I've been breathing way more since we had a conversation last. I was like, you give me all these ideas, and I'm like, oh, I'm gonna breathe, and I've been breathing in the car, and then I'm noticing a lot more when I'm holding my breath because
Mm,
I don't know what it is, but like I've always been the person who will like hold my breath, but I'll be thinking and I don't even realize, and I'll go, and have a really big sigh.
yeah.
And then, like, for example, my partner, he was just like, are you okay? I was just like, oh, I just forgot to breathe. Like,
Yeah.
because I wasn't obviously present in the moment. But yeah, I still do that. And it's almost like a sense of like peace when I do that though.
Yeah, it
But
is.
I don't
Mm.
know. Yeah, I thought it was
It's
interesting.
it's because you, us as humans, you don't very much experience stillness at all, especially in the modern era,
Yeah.
because we've got so much things, so much distractions, so much tasks, so much stuff to do, especially
Mm.
high performing people like yourself and me. So having those like even 6 second inhale holds is so peaceful. Then when we exhale, we've
Yeah.
got that build up of carbon dioxide that just when we release that just lowers our heart rate and blood pressure and gets us feeling calm again. But those moments of stillness are just so crucial, even if it's like
Yeah.
4 times 6 different sessions a day. Like
Hmm.
little things like that can just bring a big change to
Yeah.
people's lives.
That's awesome. And like I've been breathing a lot in the car. Like that is my
Mm.
time where I've been breathing and like meditating and that kind of thing. Obviously not with my eyes shut.
Yeah.
I'm so skilled, you know.
Yeah.
um,
Just letting your third
um,
eye drive for you.
yeah, pretty much Tesla run, you know. No. But yeah, my time when I stretch and breathe is when I stretch and literally breathe. I stretch and breathe.
Mm.
When I breathe, I stretch at the same time. And that's a chapter in my book. And I did it this morning and I forgot how important it is. Like when you're so
Mm.
caught up, stretching and breathing, like pretty much the same, like the six method, um, is probably what I would stick to, but I don't really think about it that much. But I just
Mm.
focus on my breath, focus on the out, focus on stretching and, you know, expanding your muscles. And that just like my mental health so much better when I stretch and breathe at the same time. And it's almost just like a yoga flow kind of situation.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, that changed my life as well.
It's like pulling the plug in the bathtub and just letting all that water go and emptying it when you're doing like
Oh yeah.
yoga and just mindfulness practices. Hey.
Pretty much. Yeah, that's it. And like with stuff like that, we're let's be honest, we're all pretty lazy. Like, you know, I can't be
Mm.
stuff stretching and breathing and actually putting my attention and you know, like I'm like that sometimes. I'm like, I can't really be stuff like stretching for 20 minutes.
Yeah.
But when I do it, like I did this morning, and I did it outside, it was a beautiful day. I was like, man, I feel good. You know, now I
Yeah.
just want to like smash my workout.
That's the beautiful thing about your book. If someone doesn't know where to start with habits and implementing these things, like in this book, you literally don't just talk about the habits you gotta do, but you have routines that people can implement and like even nutritional foods that they can eat or exercises they can do. Like there's
Yeah.
so much bloody detail in this book. Like it's so much value in this book. It's an epic. Yeah, I just love it. I'm definitely gonna read it again and recommend it to many people as I can because I feel
Oh,
like
thank you.
it's gonna impact a lot of people.
Yeah, it's interesting because there's a lot of content in there and it's
Mm.
not personalized to each individual, but it gives you ideas. And because there's 30 different chapters, like it's 30 completely different things. But at the very last chapter, it brings it all together nicely for why.
Mm.
I don't know. That's what I believe anyway.
Yeah. I'd love to ask you some questions I've written down.
Yeah, go for it.
Yes. Sweet. So what would your advice be to someone that's starting maybe like the wellness slash spiritual journey? So maybe just reflecting back on when you had that moment of feeling depressed and suicide, and the next day you felt that change. Like, what advice would you give someone that has had that similar experience?
Yeah, I think you just got to make a decision to move on. And like, let's just say you've had that similar experience to what I have.
Mm,
You've just got to vision yourself walking into a new journey, into a new
mm,
season, and you've got to leave that old you behind. You can use that old you to build a business, coach people that are going through the same thing, to tell your story and share it for good. But you don't need to go backwards. Like you don't
yeah.
need to go back to those addictions and those people that you're surrounding yourself with and those negativity and those thoughts. Like I would literally, like, this is very strange, but I would envision yourself stepping into, like, over the line into a new area, into a new atmosphere, into a new you, pretty
Mm,
much. And then I'd actually write down all the things that you want to become now that you're in this new era. And this is so random. I don't know where this is coming from because I've never even like said this in my life.
that's a great
But
answer.
yeah. But like there, this is like I would write down everything that you want to become. So I want to
Mm,
become healthy. I want to become positive. I want to become a go-getter. I want to become, a happy husband. Like whatever's your life, right?
mm,
Um, Write down all the things you do want to become. And then go, all right, well, how can I become this? How can I
mm,
become this? And then as soon as you start working on yourself and you surround yourself with the right people, you fix your posture, you start wearing clothes that you love and make you feel confident. Like it's all the little things, right?
mm.
Going to the gym, like I know that was your number one, that
Yeah.
changed your life. Go for a walk every day, like start small, join a fitness group, then you meet new people as well. Fit Stop, there's millions of them in Australia.
Yeah.
Like that's just the foundation, is stepping into a new season in a new atmosphere. Surround yourself with maybe some different people, listen to some positivity and fill your brain, your thoughts and your soul with something that you want to become more like.
Mm,
Get to the gym, exercise, we all know how good that is for you. Speak to people, find your people, speak to a mentor, just get your emotions out. Like I think that was my biggest thing. I had no one to talk to. I felt like I did. I probably did, but
yeah.
I didn't allow myself to. So I think, yeah, with those bunch of different things, just work towards that list of who you want to become and start taking action on it.
That was such a good answer that you answered about four of my questions in one.
Oh, boom.
But
I tend to
it's
do that.
because like one of them was I wrote down a quote from your book that I saw, and it was don't change your goals, change your company. And I think
Mm,
that's so good because you touched on becoming clear on your goals or being clear of the person you want to become, and then changing your company if you have to do so to become that person. And like in terms of advice to meet new people, you then also touched on that as well, was getting to like to start off with, just go to the gym and go to a fitness group because you're going to meet like-minded people that are trying to become a better version themselves or that are enjoying the same things that you're enjoying. That will just open the door to more people doing more things that you enjoy. And it's like
mm,
a big rabbit hole that a door that can open if you start just putting yourself
yeah,
out there more.
that's exactly right. It's people, like this world is full of people. Like this earth is full of water and people. So that's pretty much it. No,
Yeah.
and some land, and
Yeah.
yeah, and
Couple of
some
trees.
couple of trees, few animals. But like literally, this world is full of people. So I'm sure there will be a few people out there, um, that are willing to support you, that you look up to, that you want to surround yourself with. You've just got to, I guess, put yourself out there. Like go on
Mm,
Meetup and go to a networking event. Like go to a fitness group. Like I think meetups are probably the best way to start if you have absolutely no idea how to change your company, because
definitely.
everyone's in the same boat. Everyone meets up and
Mm,
they're like, oh, I don't know anyone here, and they're in exactly the same boat as you.
yeah.
Which is cool.
Yeah, one of the best things I ever did in terms of put myself out there to meet people was joining a mastermind. Like that
Yeah.
is that literally the amount of people I met that not just because they're like-minded and goal-driven, but the accountability they hold you to as well, and the belief
Oh,
they have in you in terms of your goals that you have in life. And
mm-hmm.
it's more so of how can we help you achieve this rather than what if you don't achieve this. And
Yeah.
it's all about the belief, and it's just yeah,
Oh,
masterminds are a great way to start.
yeah. Hit the nail on the head, like 100%. Like masterminds have changed my life, and I'm now part of one where it's like my family, right? You just
Yeah,
start bouncing off ideas, and it's like when it's got different people in it as well, like that like in I don't know about you, but in my mastermind, we've got all sorts of people, and it's a business-based mastermind.
mm.
And yeah, all sorts of people, like people in wellness, people in like, um, I guess NLP space, psychologists, people who own hospitals. Like it's just random, like people,
Yeah.
right? Businesses, VA companies, LinkedIn coaches, like random people, but we're all there for the same mission and the same purpose, and that is to live in purpose, build our businesses, and leverage off each other's intelligence,
Mm.
right? And that's oh yes, mastermind. I'm glad you bring that up. It's amazing.
Yeah, and I just back everything you said because the one I go to is similar. It's just great how there's so many diverse people in there, different age groups, different ethnicities, from
Yeah.
all around the world. Like it's just crazy, like all the experience everyone has in one spot. So if you can find a mastermind in your local area, go. If not, find one online, and I guarantee you won't regret it.
Yeah, 100%. My goal for next year when I launch my course, The Happiness Formula, is to launch like a wellness mastermind, an affordable one. It's not
Yeah.
$1 billion a year. Um, so yeah, like yeah, if anyone's listening and they want to join an affordable health mastermind, then yeah, that's an opportunity next year.
Yeah, definitely keep in touch with Holly and keep checking that out. I've got one final lucky question for you.
Woohoo.
So, if you had to sit down for dinner with four people dead or alive, who are those four people?
Dead or alive. Okay. I love this question. Um, Ed Millett, I love that guy so much. You know Ed
Yeah.
Millett?
Yeah, it's cool.
I freaking love him so much. Like, I don't know, but I just, the love that comes out of his mouth and just the vibration when I listen to his podcast. I'm going to be on his podcast one day. I'm literally, don't let me die without being on his podcast.
Yeah. Vision.
Yeah, Ed Millett, probably Jesus.
Yeah.
Yeah, probably Jesus. Because I'm sure he's extremely wise. Um, ooh, who else? Oh, there's this chick called Kat Kerr. I'm trying to think of like different people, like I don't
Yeah.
even know Kat Kerr. This is very out there for listeners. But she goes, God takes up to heaven all the time, and she's a prophet and blah blah blah. So it's a bit like it's a bit crazy if you're not into it. But I think she would be really cool and interesting. Um, I'm trying to think who else.
Yeah.
Maybe
Who's your
Dean Graziosi, to be honest.
Nice. That's a
Yeah, Dean
very
Graziosi.
diverse table. I like it.
It is a lot. It's very. Oh, actually, no. Probably Laurie Hart. Oh, I can't pick between Laurie Harder and Dean Graziosi. If no Laurie Harder.
I'll
Anyway, I don't know.
bring in both. One can be a special guest.
Oh yes, bring a friend.
Yeah. No, it's cool. But thank you for jumping on the One Talk. Where could everyone find Holly?
You can find me on. It's interesting because I'm actually quite big on LinkedIn. Like that's where everyone follows me. Like that's where my following is. So follow me on LinkedIn, and I'll sure connect with you. Instagram. If you want to. I don't know. I feel like I'm a little bit more personal on Instagram. It's not so much business related. So
Yeah.
that's Holly_Smith00. And then yeah, 30 days to happiness is pretty much the same on Instagram as 30_2_days to happiness or something like
Yeah.
that.
And you've also got your podcast on
Oh yeah.
Spotify, Apple, and is it on YouTube?
Yeah, it should.
Yeah.
Yeah, I do have YouTube. I just got to post on there more. That's my goal for next year is to post more on YouTube. But yeah, 30 Days to Happiness podcast is on Spotify and Apple.
Awesome. I'll make sure you check out the book, guys, check out the podcast, check out the work Holly's doing. It's all amazing work, and I definitely advocate for it all. But also, Holly, just thank you for jumping on the One Talk and being a part of our journey as well over here with myself and the listeners. So thank you.
Oh, thank you. It's been so awesome. I love it.
All righty, guys. Have a good night. Cheers.